Welcome to Boston, the Cradle of Liberty. I'm standing here on Boylston Street between Exeter and Dartmouth, across from the public library. 2 years ago, on a day very much like today, the sidewalks were packed with a happy-go-lucky crowd of spectators. Spirits were high, full of hope that their contenders in a race of 23,000 would be next across the finish line. It was the day of the Boston Marathon.
Every year since 1897, the people of Boston celebrate with a race, Patriots' Day, to commemorate the birth of our nation, conceived in liberty. Paul Revere's ride, the battles of Lexington and Concord, and the shot heard round the world, which opened America's fight for freedom and independence, are ceremoniously reenacted.
As wave after wave of runners came across the finish line, suddenly, on this very spot, a bomb exploded, setting shrapnel and destruction all around. Just a half a minute later, another explosion went off, a block away. Screams of terror and agony were heard all around. More than 260 were injured. 17 people lost their limbs. Others were maimed. And now many are scarred for life. And 3 innocent bystanders lost their lives, one of them an 8-year-old boy.
Patriots' Day, April 15th, 2013, was a day of carnage, bloodshed, and agony. But it was also a day of heroes. Like the days of old, when our forefathers responded to the call of freedom, many risked their own lives to save those who had fallen around them. Police, EMTs, nurses, veterans of war, onlookers, young and old, bravely faced this fresh attack upon the lives of their own fellow citizens.
On that fatal day, the Cradle of Liberty was attacked and in danger of losing its freedom to assemble in peace without fear to life and limb. But because the public responded with bravery and determination, safety has been restored, and the heroics of our citizens are now part of the annals of Boston.
Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the city, another tragedy is taking place. Here at Planned Parenthood, lives are being lost daily. Since the marathon bombing, thousands of innocent children have been brutally murdered. The Cradle of Liberty has been violated. Where are the responders? Who is coming to the rescue?
The horror that goes on here takes place behind closed doors. Nobody except the workers has to see the carnage. The bodies of thousands of children torn limb from limb, their tiny mangled bodies thrown away like trash. The world is silent, oblivious to what goes on here. But I know from firsthand experience. I used to work in this very building for 2 years.
Is the lack of response due because there are no explosions, no screams heard, no blood flowing on the streets, no body parts flying, and no chaos? Do the horrifying signs of death need to be seen in order to produce a response? Have the high ideals of our forefathers, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, lost their appeal to motivate us to act?
Boston-born patriot and statesman Samuel Adams maintained that man should be ruled first and foremost by the law of nature. He said that life, liberty, and the right of ownership did not come from any legislative authority of man. These rights, he said, comprised of the very first law of nature and of nature's God. They were later enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. So spoke a founding father of our nation.
These rights cannot be taken away by England or any other government. Because life comes from God, it is against our very nature as man to deprive the innocent of life. The state itself, with its duty to maintain justice and order, has a hard time taking life even from the guilty.
Here in this federal courthouse in Boston Seaport District, the Boston bomber, the one responsible for unprecedented misery in the city, was given an impartial and fair trial.
The accused was given not one lawyer, but an all-star defense team, was judged by his peers, and was given every opportunity to defend himself. The trial lasted a full month. Found guilty of murder, mass destruction, and 30 crimes in all, a second trial is being held to see if the man who traumatized this city should be sentenced to death. We are now in that second week of deliberation between life and death.
How different is the case here? A woman learns that her baby will be born with a birth defect. She is told that most women in this situation would terminate the pregnancy. A birth defect is no crime, and yet the doctor is acting as a prosecutor, presenting evidence that, according to the majority, makes the baby deserving of death.
We are taught from our earliest years that discrimination is wrong, that it is our duty to accept people as they are, to help the underprivileged and the handicapped. And yet, we hear that most women would abort babies with defects.
Another woman walks into this facility. She is unhappy with her pregnancy. The child she carries has committed the crime of being unexpected, unwanted, an inconvenience, and an embarrassment, and she wants to have its life ended. Without further cause, the death sentence is carried out.
Once she walks inside the clinic, nobody will tell her the truth. She'll be lied to, told abortion is no big deal, that it's just a clump of cells, that there's no trauma after abortion.
Often you hear, "It's my body and I can do what I want."
The liberty given to the use of one's own body is not unrestricted. It's my body, and yet the use of cocaine and heroin is a crime and can get me put in jail. It's my body, and yet suicide is against the law.
A woman's body is designed by nature to be the safest place to nurture life. Commissioned by God to produce life, she desecrates her very being when instead she brings forth death.
Some say it's a matter of choice. Let me ask you, would you now choose to have been aborted? To have been deprived of the life you now live? Would you willingly give up your life today, your liberty, or your pursuit to be happy? Like a child in the womb, you too are oblivious to what the future holds. Would you willingly throw it away?
A child has no choice in the matter of its coming into existence, no choice of how, where, when, or under what condition it was conceived.
Abortion is an unjust death sentence. There is no crime, no defense counsel, no standards of justice. It is all decided by a woman and her doctor, who happens to be an abortionist, who makes his livelihood off the death of his clients.
When will the scourge of abortion be taken from our country? When enough hearts have been converted through prayer and public witness, and the value of the individual soul is realized.
It is said that the love of God for souls is so great that Christ would have suffered and died for the redemption of each soul individually. This may be hard to believe, but you can get a little realization of this from the vestige of love provided by certain souls in the pro-life movement.
How seemingly few profited during Christ's agony on the cross, a thief, a soldier, and a few women. And yet Christ persevered to the end. Likewise, the faithful few come to Planned Parenthood to pray, to counsel, to offer help. In good weather and bad, in summer and winter they come. They suffer scorn, rebukes, and threats. And still, how few there are that listen, that turn from death to life. And yet these followers of Christ persevere. They rejoice exceedingly over one soul spared.
They know that the price of a redeemed soul is the very blood of Christ. How important it is for each soul to be given the opportunity to live and to be baptized, to experience the life of grace and the love of God.
While we worry about Al-Qaeda and enemies from without, we need to be more concerned by betrayal from within. Betrayal that is turning our once Christian country away from God's natural law.
Samuel Adams has left us with a startling observation. There never was a democracy that did not commit suicide. Our city is killing its own children and desecrating the cradle of liberty.
In Boston, signing off from Immaculate Heart of Mary School, I am Joseph Duffy.
Maria Bennett.
Kiara Cregan.
Samantha Ravisi.
Abigail Pettinato.
Bridget Duffy.
John Mooney.
Carella Adair.
Catherine Adair.